Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Dreaming in Fibre. I am Sarah, your host from sarahstexturecrafts.com. You can find all of today's show notes over on the thanks Patch over on the show homepage at dreaminginfibre.blogspot.co.uk. So how are you? It's Monday, December 7th, so hence the Christmas hat. I wanted to try and get a very quick podcast out for you to just say hi before the holidays, because I'm not sure how much more chance I will get, and the dog is being a little bit naughty. Having a good old sniff around. Do you want to come and sit down? Sit down while we do the podcast. Good girl. Right, that's it. You wait there. Good. So how are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're keeping okay. I know that a lot of the country has been hit by a lot of wet weather, which it's not been good, flooding and stuff, and also heard about lots of flooding overseas and that, so I hope you're okay wherever you are, and that you're safe, family's safe, and that so the last thing you need is to get flooded. So what am I kind of up to, and how is today's show gonna go? Well, I will warn you now, I'm really not feeling very well, so there might be a bit of chopping and changing. Can you sit down, Mrs.? In the podcast. I'm suffering with my allergies again. Do you remember last January when I took a bit of a break from podcasting, and when I came back I had no voice. It was the end of January, beginning of February, and I couldn't speak because I couldn't breathe properly. I'm getting the start of that as a kind of issue at the moment, and I'm getting all the migraines and all of that are involved, so I'm trying very hard not to do too much with fibre and yarn, but at the same time it's busy and I have to work, so yeah, kind of feeling a bit beyond that, kind of okay. It's that kind of year where it's quieter in some respects, but then busier in others. I had kind of expected this December to be a bit more quiet than most, because normally I would have launched Colour Club at the beginning of December, and I'm not going to launch that until the beginning of January, so that's kind of slowed work down, if you like, but it's kind of been replaced with other stuff, so I'm kind of grateful that I made the decision to make those changes to Colour Club that I have. So what I'm going to do today is do a very short podcast and just give you a flavour of what's new in the shop, what I've been working on and what I'm currently working on, and then kind of go from there. Okay, so I'm going to just stop the podcast here and have a little word with my co-host, Noisiness, and I shall be back. So what you will have just seen is a picture of 3 designs that were free downloads that I have for you available on Ravelry and on my blog, and also 3 designs that are paid for patterns. They're all 3 of them are £2 each, and I'll just show you the actual physical items for the paid for patterns. The free ones you've kind of seen before in other posts and podcasts and things like that as I was working on them. I have worked really hard, and I've worked with some fantastic test knitters as well to get these paid for patterns out to you. So you can find me over on Ravelry as Sarah's Texture Crafts. That's ravelry.com/designers/Sarah's-texture-crafts, and I'll put that below for you so that you can go and check out that link. The first of those paid for patterns is the Silky Shawlette. This is a small shawl, very simple, with tassels on the end, and that's made for, you know, just to kind of throw around your neck and wear out, and kind of see it there, hopefully with the tassels and bits. And this is designed using Sarah's Texture Crafts Elegant 4-ply base, which is a mix of wool and silk. It's got a high content of silk, so it drapes really nicely. It also has this beautiful silky sheen, and this is in the colourway Native Turquoise. The picture will show you a better image of what this colour looks like. It's kind of with the light drawing in, my yellow Christmas crown kind of drawing out the colours a little bit, but that's £2 on Ravelry for you. So there's that one, and then pop that down over there, and then the next one is my Copenhagen hat. This again is £2. You're using 2 different yarns from me. You're using my Superwash base, which is the pale blue colour, and you are using my Donegal tweed base for the remainder of the hat. That's these are both limited edition colourways, but you can buy from you can pre-order from any of my colours over there. It's all Aran weight, and it took me just a few hours to knit really. The colour work is minor, so you're just literally taking the strands over each stitch, so there's not too much involved in terms of colour work. It's a nice simple pattern with a little pom-pom on top, and really nice and snug to wear, and certainly warm where you've got the 2 yarns working together for the upcoming winter. Are you okay there, missus? I think someone's got a flea up her bum today. You're all over the place, aren't you? Hey? Finally, we have, and I have to thank some of my Ravelry test knitters for this. There were 4 lovely Ravelry team members who helped me test knit this pattern, and this is for the very giant Glastonbury shawl, which you saw me knitting back along. And it's basically a 2-colour stripe, one of which is gradient, and you have eyelet pattern details, which just goes on, and then some fringing at the bottom, and it's really nice and snug to wear, and it's just huge, as you've seen in the picture. It covers, well, it covers my whole back, which is great and perfect for when I'm feeling a little bit cold. So I'm looking forward to wearing this as the weather turns a bit more cold, and I think I'm going to get lots of wear out of it as well. And it's quite versatile because there are lots of different colourways you could choose. So you could choose a plain colourway against maybe a speckled yarn, or even a variegated, and have a different effect to this still. Very versatile. So that's there up for you over on Ravelry. Hope you will enjoy them. Also in the shop I have lots more dyed product for you to buy from, so yarns and also fibre tops. There are also a few new back colourways, and then on top of that there are well, there's the rest of my dyed fleece, and then there'll be no more dyed fleece until next year. Having said that, I'm going to sort of go back to mentioning earlier that I wasn't feeling very well, and I'm a bit worried that my allergies are becoming more and more severe. If it continues to do so over this winter, because I do still have a lot of fibre work to do, then I may have to, and the doctor may tell me that I have to work on giving up and vastly cutting down the fibre side of Sarah's Texture Crafts, which will be absolutely devastating, because when I go to shows and things I'm known as the fibre girl. Yes, I have yarn, but that's what I sell more of, so kind of worried that my business is going to go down the pan due to allergies. But I do have to pay attention to them, because these are not allergies that I can cope with and live with. These are to do with breathing, which is kind of essential to living. Also, I've found out what all that kind of stigmata, horrible sort of allergy stuff is on my hands. It's a type of eczema, which is brought on by stress or allergies. There is no cure for it. They don't really know much about it because of the way that it comes up. It sort of comes up in small bubbly blisters. Yay! Which itch and burn like crazy. I've just had an attack of it, which has gone down on my hands a bit now, fortunately. But I've been dealing with all of the fleece, so it's very obvious that my trigger allergy is wool, and that maybe the damp at the moment in the atmosphere and also in this house is going to be causing me a bit of an issue. So I'm having to think a bit longer term, which is a bit of a shame to go into my 10th anniversary year and thinking like, oh my god, am I going to have to give up part of it? I don't know. So I don't know. I'm feeling a little bit worried about it all at the moment, but it is what it is, and I have to pay attention to it if it's a problem. So yeah, I'll keep you updated if as an issue it becomes something that I need to make you aware of. Yeah, I don't know what else to say really about that. Not a lot at the moment, I suppose. What else has been happening? I've been working, I got a wholesale order done and out. Still not heard back from the trunk show. Everything went great at the trunk show, and you know, the feedback while I was there was certainly fantastic. So I don't know whether it's something that they're just thinking about. I know they had other things that they had to kind of concern themselves with immediately, as it were. So I'm going to hang in and wait on that for a little bit longer and see how that goes. What else? I don't think there's very much else to tell you really. I'm just working away on projects that I can't really speak about. I've also been contacted today about another project that I can't really speak about, but something that's going to have quite a quick deadline on it. So I've got a lot of work to do, and I want to get ahead now and get as much done as I can for my first show of next year, which will be beginning of February, Crafters at West Point. So I am definitely busy, all of which I can't really talk about. So yeah, a bit boring today, isn't it? So I'm going to go into what I've been working on and what I've finished, and then we'll probably leave it there for today. So very quick, I think. So I finally finished Darren's socks. These are in the West Country Spinners 4-ply signature on the Bullfinch colourway. I really love how they've come out. If I show you the second one, they don't match perfectly in terms of the stripe, but the way the striping has actually come out, and I'm paying particular attention to the heel there that I'm showing you, those top stripes, it kind of almost matches, although it's in different colour. So very, very close with the way they work, and really loved how they've come out. They look huge on these blockers. Now these blockers should fit Darren's feet quite nicely, but what I found with these, and I'm not sure what it was, I'm not sure whether I was knitting tighter, which is quite possible because we've been watching a few kind of sort of action things on the TV in the evening. So whilst I haven't worked on these religiously as one project because I've had all those other things to finish, when I have picked them up, usually we've been watching films like well, things that have got really fast-paced action in them, and TV box set series as well, which have got high action in them. So I think I've been kind of, my tension has been probably a little bit all over the place. I don't think you can see that when you look at it particularly, but certainly I think while I've been knitting it, I've noticed that my tension's not been fantastic or consistent. And also when I tried them on, this is where the sock blocker actually finishes, but I ended up having to give this whole extra bit of toe for Darren's foot. Now I don't think this yarn is much finer than the yarns I was using for Darren initially. You remember I was using a lot of the Drops Fable print, and I was using those purely because I was new to sock knitting and I didn't want to spend the earth on something at that moment in time when I wasn't sure I was going to spend a lot of time sock knitting. So I don't know why these ended up as long as they did, but they both fit him perfectly, and he's looking forward to wearing those, and he won't be able to until Christmas because they are part of his Christmas present. And because I had to try them on so many times, I had to show him what they were, which is a bit of a shame. But also living with the guy, it's kind of hard to do knitting while he's not around because I'm working, so there we go. He had to know, but he's fine with that. He doesn't know what else he's getting, and it's not his only gift, so he can deal with it. Now, what I'm working on, I haven't got much left to show you that I'm working on because everything's finished, so I'm pretty good with what's on my needles. There are a couple of things that I have sort of languishing that I just haven't really felt the desire to knit on, so I won't bother talking about those. Instead, I'm going to talk about my new sweater. I was kind of prompted, I think, by the turn in weather, but also I was I remember speaking to Jenny All About Yarn over on Instagram, and she was asking me what I was doing now, and I'd been debating casting on a new sweater for the longest time, good few weeks, and deciding what colours I wanted to do and so on. And so it seemed like the perfect moment to cast something on, so thanks Jenny, you are an enabler. And so what I've done is I've cast on and started knitting a sweater. This is made up of 2 colourways in a stripe. The neckline is not sitting properly because I've knitted a band that I will then fold over and sew down afterwards, so I'm hoping that will sit much better. There is no pattern for this, you know me, I do like to make stuff up as I go along, but because it's top down, I'm using a similar formula to the free pattern open weave tee that I've just released. So it's a very similar idea, similar neck shape, only it's a bit narrower. Cap sleeves, raglan, and I've been able to fit as I've gone, which I like. It means that I get a much better fit for my body type at that moment in time. So the 2 colourways are, and you kind of won't be able to see a huge difference in colours because they are quite close. Up the top you have, I've started with a variegated colourway, and if I show you there, you can see 2 lines where my finger is there of what looks like a pinky red, a darky red with a very small hint of blue. You see as my finger's gone along? These 2 stripes, these 2 rows I should say here. That is my variegated colourway Nightfall, which I have dyed up on an old base that I had that I'm no longer using. It's 100% wool. I've had X amount of skeins left, and I just thought rather than dyeing them for the shop and selling them at a discount price because I'm getting rid of the base, I would leave them and dye them for personal projects so that I can show you colours. So this is colour Nightfall, you can find that at sarahstexturecrafts.com. And then the secondary colour, which is, if I show you the same area here, just these 2 rows above and those 2 rows below is a tonal blue colour. That's my colourway Denim, which again is on that same wool base. So here are the 2 colours together. I have Denim and then Nightfall, and they work really nicely together because the denim is very almost the same blue tone that I'm using in the variegated yarn. So I've striped them up the top and across the arm, and then once I've got to a certain point where I had no more blue, I've gone into just using the Nightfall on its own, so the rest of the body will be Nightfall only, all the way to the bottom. And I think that will work quite nicely because the colours are so similar. It will look like it's an intended sort of gradiating pattern, going from a more blue look up the top to a more red look down the bottom, and those are my colours, so I'm happy with that, and I think they'll suit me when I'm finished. This is intended to be worn over the top of long sleeve t-shirts, that kind of thing. I'm knitting it on a 5mm needle, so I'm knitting it quite close. Now the base originally was an Aran weight. Now, not sure if that's going to focus there for you. Let's see. That's it, that's probably better there. Is an Aran weight, and I think it's probably very almost a light Aran as opposed to a true Aran. It's certainly finer than the Aran I now sell in the shop. So I'd say it's probably closer, maybe closer to a DK than a true Aran. But that's knitting up quite nicely. I'm enjoying that. Because of my allergies at the moment, to be honest, I've just stopped all knitting, all fibre pursuits. So I do have spinning on the wheel, but I'm not going to show you today because it's part way through. I'm on the last of 100-gram bump that I'm going to then ply together to give myself enough yarn to maybe make a jumper. And that's about it really. I don't have huge plans for knitting over Christmas. I didn't do any gift knitting this year just because I think my family are kind of hand knitted, gifted out. They can't do another thing, so if I kind of give them a year's you know, sort of rest, then we'll see who sort of mentions it, like, oh, I didn't get anything this year, as to, you know, maybe who I make for next year. We shall see. But yeah, I haven't got any huge kind of plans. That I would love to do some more spinning because I want to make a jumper for Darren and a jumper for my mum, but I just don't know whether I'm going to be able to do it. So that's kind of it, I guess. Yeah, so that's it. So I think I ought to toodle here and get on with some work and get on with the project that I've got to get done by midweek. So happy knitting, spinning and that kind of thing, and if I don't get a chance to podcast again before Christmas, let me wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I shall see you in 2016. When hopefully I'll be a lot better and have lots more fun things to talk about. So until then, I will see you around, guys. Have a really good one and keep dreaming in fibre. Cheers.